Hello there friends, subscribers, followers, YouTubers. Today's discussion is a very unique one. We are going to discuss a very funny what-if scenario. And no, it won't include religion, it won't include nations, it won't include wars. It will include YouTubers. It will include Pewdiepie. Yes, Pewdiepie, the most famous YouTuber all over the world. So what if Pewdiepie never existed? This is just a thought experiment, and no, I don't hate Pewdiepie. In fact, I like to watch some of his videos. He is a very exceptional YouTuber, and I understand why he is the most subscribed YouTuber. The thing is, I just wanted to see if the same style of argumentation can be done also in a different way as we use it in alternate history. We also tend to forget that not only historical facts change or shape our world, but also the pop culture as we live in influences us in one way or another. And here I am. I am already influenced by pop culture because I will mainly talk about Pewdiepie, who, if you don't know by this time, is the most popular YouTuber in the world. So if you don't know, just leave all the internet alone, please. Remember, alternate history is mostly a thought experiment, and it never reflects the truth as such, because, let's face it, Germany didn't won World War II, fortunately. One can only use facts to support one scenario, but it doesn't mean that it's the only way of how it can be done. So let's get started. What if Pewdiepie never existed? Well, first of all, this video wouldn't be about Pewdiepie, but maybe about Hola, soy Herman, or Venus Gaming, or even Smosh. I would however go for Smosh or Venus Gaming, as those two channels feature very similar content as Pewdiepie. And also because Pewdiepie's main language in his YouTube content is English. If he used Swedish instead, he would probably not be as famous as he is right now, and it would also be limited for a certain audience and also maybe have a very different content. You also have to see language is used to express some ideas that you have, and depending on which language you use in your content, you want to feature certain ideas. So if, for instance, Pewdiepie chose to have only Swedish on his YouTube channel, he would talk about the stuff that would probably be more known in Sweden than in the world. And now let's continue, for instance, without Pewdiepie. There would be a gap of 57 million subscribers who could be attracted to similar channels. And Venus Gaming, for instance, could fill this gap to a certain extent. Smosh, in the broad sense, has, yes, similar content in the very broad sense, but as Pewdiepie said in one of his videos, they failed to do a proper transition, and this ultimately led to their decline. 5 years ago, or even 6 years ago, Smosh was in fact very famous, and they even hold for a certain amount of time the place #1 of all YouTubers. But then, somehow they just disappeared from pop culture. Yes, they still have a lot of subscribers, but many of them are dead subscribers. And as for Hola, soy Herman, I think he could not really be the YouTuber #1 for one primarily reason: the language again. Yes, in the Hispanophone world, he would be #1, as he is nowadays. But without Pewdiepie, I don't think that he would be able to fill this gap, except if he would do a transition into English maybe. But then again, he could alienate the most core of the hardcore of his subscribers, which would probably prefer stuff in English. There's also a Brazilian channel which has a lot of subscribers. It's very famous. Whindersson Nunes, or I don't know how it's pronounced, but yeah, this channel. I think they also would not be able to claim the first position again because of the language. And even with the Portuguese, you have a very clear disadvantage compared to English or Spanish, which are spoken in much more often in the world. So, as a matter of fact, there would be probably Vanus Gaming who could take the fame of Pewdiepie, maybe, and also Smosh to some extent if they would do a transition and feature other things, and also maybe adopt a similar style as Pewdiepie. They could also perhaps attract some of his subscribers, which in this timeline would not be subscribers of Pewdiepie at all. Another obvious point would be that, for instance, Pewdiepie's girlfriend Marcia, she would be less known and probably let her life in Italy and pursue a different path in her life. I mean, even if she is the #1 YouTuber, she is very famous for the reason that she features in a lot of content with Pewdiepie, and without the collaboration with Pewdiepie, it could be difficult for her to be able to hold this place #1. And I think also she established her YouTube channel after she met Pewdiepie in the first place. So yeah, I think that could be a reason. So maybe the place #1 of the Italian YouTubers, they could be contested between Favij TV, E Pantelas or Stepney. Also, as you know, Pewdiepie is very often criticized for his humor and the words, pictures he sometimes uses. And in my opinion, the media is very wrong about doing so. I mean, the media just takes a lot of stuff and they are sometimes unfair with Pewdiepie. So I think in that case, without Pewdiepie, they would just go on and take a different person whom they would criticize for other very banal stuff. Gaming would be a bit different, and some indie games, such as Happy Wheels, might never be known or discovered much later. Also, the style of Pewdiepie's gaming might be seen as maybe more awkward or perhaps very special. It is also possible that someone else in the world could have a similar way of doing videos, and that person might just as well hit this nerve and become a successful YouTuber. I mean, Pewdiepie just had this way of doing his Let's Plays, which really hit and struck the nerve of a whole generation, and that's why he also earned a lot of subscribers. I mean, overall, our lives, they would probably not change so much, but YouTube would be a very different place, and perhaps gaming would even be taken as a secondary thing on YouTube. And I mean, with the changes right now, maybe it would be recognized in a very less way, perhaps even not at all. It would be ignored, and perhaps the gaming companies would also make a lot of copy strikes, and YouTube would become a very hostile place for Let's Plays, who knows. And also a very big influence on the generation and the audience between 13 and 20 years old. It would change a lot about them, because they are primarily the audience of Pewdiepie. And when you are inspired by a very famous person, you like to imitate in some ways his style. So probably they would not be able to imitate his style. Maybe someone would come up with his style, but it would be then this person's style and not PewDiePie's style. And yeah, it would just make gaming very different for this generation. And also probably a lot of commercial and business stuff would be different, but I won't go into the details of all those numbers. So yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this alternate scenario, which was a very different one. It was actually more about alternate YouTube in a very alternate timeline. But then again, I hope you can actually see why I try to do it. I try to actually maybe rationalize in some way a different scenario. And I hope nobody will take it bad. And again, no, I don't hate PewDiePie. He's very much okay for me. And I hope you enjoyed this video. So see you next time on Althistory Luxembourg. Don't forget to subscribe, give a comment, give a like, and watch all the other videos that I have on my channel. Have a great day.